We are living in a world that is very different from the one we know. A world where the Horn of Africa, the easternmost extension of African land, never existed. A world where the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden are connected by a narrow strait, and where the Indian Ocean coast of Africa is much shorter and smoother. A world where the history, geography, culture, and politics of Africa and beyond have been profoundly altered by this missing piece of land. Let me take you on a journey across the continents and show you how this alternate reality looks like. In Africa, the absence of the Horn has had major consequences for the development of the continent. Without Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, and Djibouti, there is no ancient civilization of Aksum, no Christian kingdom of Ethiopia, no Muslim sultanates of Ade and Ajuran, no colonial scramble for Somalia. There is also no source of the Nile River in the Ethiopian highlands, which means that Egypt and Sudan depend on much less water for their agriculture and civilization. The African Union, which has its headquarters in Addis Ababa in our world, does not exist in this alternate reality. Instead, there are several regional organizations that compete for influence and resources. The most powerful one is the Central African Federation, which includes Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and Congo. This federation has emerged as a leader in economic development, political stability, and environmental protection in Africa. It has also established strong ties with India and China, which are the main trading partners and investors in the region. In Asia, the absence of the Horn has also affected the geopolitics and security of the continent. Without the Horn, there is no strategic choke point of Bab-el-Mandeb, which controls the access to the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. This means that there is less naval competition and tension between the Middle Eastern countries and their allies. There is also less piracy and terrorism in the Indian Ocean, which makes maritime trade safer and cheaper. However, there is also less cultural and religious diversity in Asia, as there is no Somalia diaspora in Yemen, Oman, India, Pakistan, and beyond. There is also less humanitarian aid and peacekeeping efforts in Asia, as there is no conflict-ridden Somalia that requires international intervention. In Europe, the absence of the Horn has had a mixed impact on the continent. On one hand, there is less migration and refugee flows from Africa to Europe, as there is no war-torn Somalia that drives millions of people to seek asylum in Europe. There is also less involvement and influence of European powers in Africa, as there is no colonial legacy or strategic interest in the Horn. On the other hand, there is less trade and cooperation between Europe and Africa, as there is no direct sea route between them through the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. There is also less cultural and historical exchange between Europe and Africa, as there is no ancient connection between Ethiopia and Europe through Christianity or Judaism. In America, the absence of the Horn has had a minor effect on the continent. The main difference is that there is less diversity and integration of African immigrants in America, as there is no large Somali community that has settled in America since the 1990s. There is also less involvement and influence of American interests in Africa, as there is no strategic ally or partner in Ethiopia or Djibouti that hosts American military bases or diplomatic missions. In Oceania, the absence of the Horn has had a negligible effect on the continent. The only difference is that there is less awareness and appreciation of African culture and heritage in Oceania, as there is no representation or contribution of Horn Africans in Oceania. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how our world would look like if the Horn of Africa never existed. A world that is very different from ours in many ways. A world that has lost a rich and diverse region that has shaped the history and destiny of Africa and beyond. Thank you for your attention.